Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Yeah, y'all can do a little bit better than that, man. I said, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Nick, let's set the tone, Nick. Give me some theme music or something. Yeah, there we go. What you gonna do? Yeah, what's happening? Hey, how y'all doing? The man right here. Yeah, I hear you. I hope everybody having a great time, man. DJ, cut that for me real quick, man. We gonna come out and do the install. This is install number 2. If you were here last year, you had to have a great time because you came back this year, and we hope you brought a friend. Hope it wasn't just because they put the headliner. Y'all thought I was going to say Rand, huh? No, Buck Rising, the headliner. Y'all give Buck Rising a round of applause. We're going to introduce these people the right way, but first and foremost, we got to make sure the energy is right. The tone got to be set right. You understand? All right, so we need energy all the way throughout. There's going to be a lot of questions being asked, a lot of questions being answered. We got video monitors. Look, Cosell ready to break it down. Cosell, you want me to break this down for him now? See, when you hit the A gap, the B gap got to follow. Yeah, that ain't my lane. That ain't my lane. DJ, give me some of my music, though. Turn that up, DJ. Got no roof. Come on. That's it. Who is it? Titan fans, what's up? Let's go. Cut it, DJ. Let's get straight to it, man. I ain't gonna take up too much of y'all time. See me up here looking good, you know what I mean? Slim got a little baby Hitchcock, you know what I mean? It ain't too much though, you know. First and foremost, man, I gotta bring up the executive producer of NFL Films, man, a guy that's loved by many. Ain't many that can get him though. We do the right thing at 104.5 The Zone, man, bringing a guy up like his executive producer of NFL Films, the greatest film analyzer that you're going to find in the game, Greg Cosell. Come on up, my brother. Yes, sir. There is no install. There is no install without somebody being able to install it, and that's what Greg Cosell does. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all probably thinking that's what she said, but that ain't what we're here for. You understand that? You know? Next thing, man, before I bring this guy out, man, I want y'all to put y'all hands together for a guy that we just welcomed to the 104.5 The Zone family. A legend, Titans legend. We need a tackle. We might be able to slide him over at the left side if JC don't work out. But give it a hand for Brad Hopkins, man. Big B Hop. Show B Hop some love, man. That's right. All right, man, for the headliner, man, It's our guy, man. He get on a lot of people's nerves, though. Whole lot of people's nerves. He get on my nerves. Reason being, see, last year when I came to the install, I was like, Buck, what we going to wear? Buck was like, man, just come how you are. So I said, hey, man, I lost some weight. I'm going to put some slacks on. You know what I mean? Nice button down, Gucci belt, Gucci loafers, you know what I mean? Come here and do my thing. He jumped up here with a T-shirt on. I said, come on, dog. What you doing? I thought you was setting the tone. So this year I came a little bit more relaxed, but then he spiffed it up. Came a little right the way he is. From the Buck Rising show, I know a lot of y'all want to say the Lucas Panzica show. Shout out to Lucas. Should it be Lucas show? Let me hear by a round of applause. This should be Lucas Panzica show. Yeah. Hey, man. Y'all put your hands.
Oh, my God, I love you, Lucas.
And the peanut gallery has arrived. Y'all put y'all hands together for the one and only A to Z 104.5 The Zone, Buck Rising.
My dude. All right. You got your mic right here, Greg. Don't you worry. We're going to get you fixed up real good. Look at this crowd. Give a hand for yourselves. Thank y'all for coming out. It's really great to see you. Greg, it's great to be back here at the Hutton Hotel in the analog room. I don't think this could have gone any better. You know, I mean, we tried to plan it.
Hey, all I can say.
Uh-oh, check 1, 2.
Uh-oh.
Check
there
1,
we
2.
go. There we go. All I was thinking watching that is who needs Morgan Wallen? We got Slice. I mean, come on.
Well, Morgan Wallen wouldn't fit in around here. We got all the furniture stapled to the ground.
Right.
We can't, no chair throwing, all right? There's a fine system in place. Y'all ready to talk some football? All right, we love to see it. We got a lot of Titans fans in the house. You guys excited about your new team? You excited to hear from Titans general manager Rand Carthon? Yeah, okay. Well, me and Greg are going to get you started because it's been one hell of an offseason. We're going to take a seat.
We sure
that's
are.
all right with everybody. Man, it is so cool to see everybody out here tonight because it's not just talking shop that we're here to do, Greg. We're here to raise money for a really great cause in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. A lot of my colleagues at 104.5 The Zone, by the way, shout out the entire Zone on-air staff and everybody in promotions and programming who helped put this thing together. Really, really appreciate everybody showing up and showing us some support here. But we're here to raise money for a good cause, and we've got QR codes at a bunch of the tables here. We're going to tell you more about what it is that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's mission is throughout the course of the show. We got a very special guest in the house who's going to give you his personal story. But in the meantime, if you guys don't mind, we're going to talk some ball.
I'm ready to do that. You know, Buck, I'm always ready to do that.
I know it. That's why we love you, baby. So this team underwent some pretty significant changes throughout the course of the last couple months. I just had a list in front of me of all the different moves from coaches and staff to personnel, all the different things that have changed around in the last couple of months, starting with Brian Callahan, who's going to be the new head coach. How many of y'all subscribe to the podcast and aren't just here for the booze? Hey, how many of y'all here for the booze? Yeah, okay, that's all right. That's all right. There's a full bar. Make sure you take great care of the great staff that's here providing dinner and drinks at the Hutton as well. But, Greg, you and I have talked about this on the podcast a million times. Titans needed to change their approach if they were going to keep pace with the rest of the league, with the way in particular the AFC was trending.
And the way the AFC South is now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, this is as competitive as this division has been, certainly in the last 8-9 years that I've been here. But with where the AFC, the conference, and the division is trending, the start of that is hiring Brian Callahan and bringing him in for a philosophical shift that I think this team is really going to benefit from, and frankly, the entertainment value is going to benefit from.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to have Derrick Henry right, Derrick Henry left anymore. And I think the feeling was that
I heard some awes in the crowd.
Yeah,
I know. We got a lot of how many people wearing a Derrick Henry jersey?
I see one right there. I see one right there.
There's a handful.
Hey, and there's no question for 5 years he was
we will pour one out for you later, sir. Don't you worry.
But I
Yeah, absolutely, and a huge part of that, so much of the work that they've done this offseason, from hiring Brian Callahan to putting together a different group of personnel, this roster is going to look significantly different when the team hits the field for training camp in a couple of months. So much of that is centered around Will Levis. How y'all feel about Will Levis after one season? 9 games? You feel pretty good? Because the last time we were in here, Greg,
they just drafted him.
They had just drafted him, and there were a lot of Tennessee fans in the house that were like, I don't know about this Kentucky guy. I'm not quite sure yet. So 9 games. Everybody, morale's high, yeah? Okay. Will Levis, after, the circumstances that saw him get into the lineup, obviously you don't want to ever see anybody get hurt. But
no.
This is what happens in football. Ryan Tannehill goes down in London against the Ravens. Will Levis isn't the backup at that point in time. It's Malik Willis. And Levis, after that, becomes the full-time starter and takes the job for the remainder of the season until he gets hurt behind an offensive line that they've worked very hard to remake, to try and prevent as much of that as humanly possible. Look at you laughing at these poor people watching these left tackles the last couple of years. Tough scene. Levis in year one, though, what did you make of what you saw based on the prospect evaluation that we talked about this time last year?
I mean, I think for the most part it was really positive. You got to remember, and we're just being honest here, aren't we, Buck? Are we being honest?
I try to, as often as humanly possible.
I mean, he may have been playing behind the worst pass-protecting O-line in the league, and at the end of the day, he just stood in there. He took shots. He made throws. He probably has to learn a little bit of when he has to get rid of the football or move out of the pocket. But I think overall, he showed an awful lot. He's got a power arm. He's physically tough. I actually know the coach very well, who was his offensive coordinator at Kentucky for 1 year, and he told me that the kid is incredibly intelligent. He's almost maniacal when it comes to his work ethic. So to me, given what the team was a year ago, I think he showed a lot of positive things. Now, we all know at the end of the day, it's going to have to be on him to see how far this team can go. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean he has to throw for 350 every single week, but we all know it's a quarterback league, and they're putting all their chips on Will Levis. Now, they need people around him. They're trying to address the O-line. I think they've done that. We're going to talk a lot more about that, obviously.
A lot of O-line tonight.
A lot of O-line talk.
A lot of O-line talk.
Deservedly so, I might add.
It's just been 5 off-seasons of tackles.
But
Greg,
no,
I
think when you look at Levis, you know, the one thing you can't teach quarterbacks is you can't teach toughness in the pocket. You can teach a lot of things, but you can't teach guys that just are willing to stand there and deliver the football knowing that they're going to get hit. And that's the NFL game. You've got to be able to play in what we call a dirty or a muddied pocket. And he has no problem with that, and you can't really teach that.
So for Will Levis, obviously he's going to be as set up for success as humanly possible because they had the resources to be able to go out and spend this offseason, and we'll start there. We'll talk more in detail, and we're going to show you guys. We're going to have Greg and Rand Carthon break down some clips of the additions that they've made this offseason, from trades to free agents to the draft class that just happened. I mean, about a week ago, as a matter of fact. It's good to. I like the quick turnaround.
You're right. It did. Yeah.
Wait, it doesn't feel like the draft is over?
Yeah.
No, still swimming in prospect analysis. Yeah. You guys, you have no idea how much I have been stressing about how many notes that Greg gives me on all of these prospects. I've been having anxiety to make sure.
Well,
that
I only do that
everything.
for about 140 guys. So,
I know, but
yeah.
I know we're not going to do 140. We got 7.
No, yeah.
We'll take our time.
We'll just deal with the Titans draft class.
So when they go through the free agency process and they make the fundamental moves of, in particular, Lloyd Cushenberry, who's coming in here, they give him, and I know we're not here to talk finances, but the most guaranteed money that a center has ever gotten. You need it, right? Mm-hmm. You need it at this point because you guys know how hard it has been for any quarterback to work behind this offensive line, and that it starts there no matter how unsexy it is. Although I don't think there's a fan base that is lusting more for good offensive line play than this particular crowd out here. At this point in time. I got a little hot and bothered for some center talk, are you? We'll get you there, all right? But look at, sorry, Greg. Look at Lloyd Cushenberry. I honestly think that that's the most important signing of any of these dudes that they've made. And I know you've talked to some people around the league about it.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, Buck, and I hope people understand because I have to watch every team as well, that I wasn't an expert on Lloyd Cushenberry, so I asked some friends of mine, offensive line coaches in the league, one guy in particular I've known for almost 25 years. He's been an O-line coach in the NFL for over 30 years, and he told me that he thought Cushenberry was as good an offensive line signing as any in the league, that he's a really, really good player, that he's incredibly intelligent. And you know what coaches talk about a lot? They talk about the room. You hear quarterback room, receiver room, O-line room. And one thing he said to me was he is going to just raise the entire level of that room just with the kind of guy he is. And I think for O-linemen, because they're a different breed of cat, Brad Hopkins could probably speak to that a lot better than I could. But
we got a few of them roaming around.
Yeah, we got
here.
A few. Yeah.
Careful, Brad. We might actually call you to play tackle.
But they're usually just a little different breed in the way they go about doing their business. And I was told that Cushenberry is one of those guys that just leads the entire group. And in some ways, that can be just as important because particularly interior offensive linemen, it's not about looking pretty to get your job done. It's about battling and competing. You know, you're trying to get guys blocked. There's not a lot of space. So, you know, we talk about tackles a lot, having great feet, looking like dancing bears. You never hear that kind of talk about centers and guards because there's just not a lot of space. So it's just about battling and competing. And Cushenberry's the kind of guy that raises the level of everybody, which I was told by a number of different people.
And so from there, they've been in pursuit for a variety of different free agents, and they haven't gotten everybody that they've been after, and we'll talk to Rand about some of that here in just a little bit. But one player that they did not initially, at least to hear their kind of backstory on it, they didn't set out trying to sign Calvin Ridley, I think, on the onset, and I'll have Rand walk everybody through the particulars on that. But, you know, the situation is fluid, always in free agency. If an opportunity becomes available for you to capitalize and sign a quality player, you want to make sure you do that. And as soon as that transaction came out, you texted me and said, I love this signing.
Yeah, well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, it starts with the player. Because I know Ridley missed a year, but he is a sweet route runner. He's one of the sweetest in the league. And we'll get into that a little more, Buck, you know, what that means. But it also told me when they signed him, because obviously you didn't hear Titans before they made the signing. It wasn't as, hey, the Titans are in the mix. To me, it came out of nowhere. I don't know if it did for you.
Everybody was pretty surprised.
Yeah,
it sounded like they were kind of surprised that it happened as fast as this
But
did.
you know what it said was, just what I started with here, was the idea that, you know what? You need weapons on the perimeter. You need big play receivers. You need to have an offense that can attack at all levels of the field. And the understanding that that's what's needed was really what struck me. I mean, like I said, the player is really good, but just the idea that, hey, we need to be able to score. We've got a big-armed quarterback now, a guy that can really stretch the field with his arm, and now we need receivers that can do that. And because if you don't have those receivers, then your offense becomes a little condensed and it shrinks. And Ridley is a guy, you wouldn't call him a true burner, but he has vertical ability for sure.
So from the offensive side of the ball, and a lot of this offseason has been in service of the offense, but the defense has some critical holes, or had some critical holes that they needed to address. And in one in particular, they've very much remade the secondary. Not just the trade with the Kansas City Chiefs for two-time Super Bowl champion L'Jarius Sneed is now on your roster. I know a lot of you guys are excited about that after watching the secondary the past couple of years. Chidobe Awuzie also signed to a contract, and he seems like he would also be a solid addition with Roger McCreary and Amani Hooker. They're still working through the process with the safeties.
Yeah, and, you know, I think the corners are so critical. You know, the league has changed. And I've also talked to a lot of coaches about this, had some great conversations, but the league has changed. There's so much more what we call quick game in the passing game, meaning the ball comes out with 3-step drop timing or 5-step drop timing. And what that means is it's very difficult for your pass rush to get there. Now, obviously, when it's third and long, that's a different scenario. But just in general, the ball gets out quicker. So it's more difficult for the pass rush to get there. So how do you disrupt the passing game? You have to disrupt receivers now to disrupt the passing game in normal down and distance situations. And the one thing about Awuzie and Sneed in particular, and we'll see some shots of that, is they are physical. Sneed is really physical in press coverage. I mean, there are shots when he's going up against Tyreek Hill where he just throws him to the ground. And that's the way he plays. So now you have a swagger. You want your corners to have a swagger. Sure, it's great when they're, you know, great athletes, and to use all the terms we use when you watch tape, they change direction, they have great transition skills, all that stuff, that's great, but you want them to be physical and you want them to have a swagger, and that's the way the game is going, and that's what L'Jarius Sneed in particular brings to the table.
Nick, who's doing a great job helping us here at the analog room as we work through the film breakdown, because we're going to break down some tape for you guys if that's okay. You all good with that? All right, right on. Nick, Greg brings up a particular play, and I know I told you that I was going to go in a certain kind of order, but I'm going to throw a curveball to you right out the gate.
What was the order we were going to go
Well, I think that would spoil the fun if I told you that now.
Oh, okay.
At this point, Greg. But he brings up this play, the 11th play on that L'Jarius Sneed sheet that I gave you, Nick, of him planting Tyreek Hill's ass in the turf, which I particularly enjoyed watching. I know Titans fans are going to enjoy this as well. This was a play that was actually a George Karlaftis sack, Greg, for people who are seeing it. And, Nick, if we could run it back a couple of times for people to be able to watch.
So Sneed's at the bottom of the screen here. So keep that in mind. Sneed's at the
Number
bottom of the
38
screen.
for those of you guys who are able to see here on our monitors.
This is the way he. Now, obviously, that doesn't happen on every play. We know that, and he's not going to play press man on every single play. But this is the kind of thing he does. This is the way he plays. Now, there's another.
Look at y'all getting fired up out there just watching him push dudes around.
No, and that's what you want. I mean, that's what, and it's funny, they were playing Miami here, and Miami is a classic purveyor now in the league of quick game throws, and that's how you have to stop those quick game throws. Now, is it possible to get another play up here?
We sure can.
It was the interception by Mike Edwards. I think I gave that to you.
So the interception by Mike Edwards is the, okay, I've got it, the 9th play on my sheet here, Nick. If you could throw that up under the L'Jarius Sneed category, if you'd be so kind.
Because this is a classic case where Tua Tagovailoa wanted to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill. And now, granted, they were playing with 2 deep safeties, which means that Sneed could play this way. But still, he took away the quick game throw and forced Tua to throw it somewhere else. And he made a late bad throw that was intercepted. So hopefully that'll come up here in a second. We'll see that.
We'll get that up in just a second. But, Greg, while Nick's pulling that up, the idea that you can never have enough edge rushers and corners in the NFL.
Those are the 2 premium positions that coaches still talk about is, rushing the quarterback with edge rushers. Because like I said, you are going to get to 3rd and long, so you do want edge rushers. But corner is, I've gotten to know, fortunately, and it's been a great experience for me, I've gotten to know Steve Spagnuolo very well. He spent time at NFL Films with me the year he was not coaching. He would come in every Monday and watch tape, and I got to know him really well. And he's of the opinion, and you could say that he's done okay, winning the past 2 Super Bowls. And I think he's won 4 overall as a D coordinator because he won 2 with the Giants as well. And he said that, they've sort of reassessed that they think corner is the most important position on defense now because of where the game is going. And the game is cyclical, so it moves in different directions. And as I said, with all these quick game throws, corner now has become so important. You need corners that can play press coverage. And we have 2 now in Tennessee, and hopefully, that can also help your pass rush. People always think pass rush helps your corners. It can work the other way as well. And now you have corners that can line up, they can disrupt routes, and even McCreary in the slot is that's where he belongs, and he's a nice slot player. And actually, we're going to get to one of their draft choices, who I really, really loved.
Well, since I promised Nick I wouldn't treat him like a karaoke machine tonight, I'm going to go to another interception if you don't mind.
I think I might mind because I wanted to see that play.
Well, we will come back to that play here in just a second, but I'm trying to make it a little easier on Nick here, Greg. So, Nick, the 4th play, it's a Week 11 game against the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2nd quarter.
Okay, the interception against A.J. Brown.
And then, A.J. Brown, former Titans wide receiver, now playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, that's not very nice.
Let me tell you why I picked this play to show you guys. Because it looks like he's doing a bad job because it looks like he's letting Brown run by him and there's no safety over the top.
At the top of your screen.
Right, at the top of your screen. But this is, to me, an example of him understanding the offense he was playing against, which, by the way, that comes from film study, coaching. A lot of factors go into this. He knows that the Philadelphia Eagles run a ton of in-breaking routes, a ton. That's really their bread and butter. So you know what? Based on the down and distance, the field position, all those factors that go into study, he knew what was coming, so he undercut the route, and he knew that. Because, if that happened to be a vertical route, he might have been in trouble. But I'm sure with all those other factors that go in with film study, he just understood that was going to be what the play was, and therefore he undercut the route and made the interception. It wasn't a great throw, but you know what? Sometimes that's the way interceptions occur, on throws that aren't so great.
You got to be able to capitalize, absolutely. Nick, you can throw the loop back up whenever you get a second. We're so happy to have you guys out here. We're going to have intermissions throughout the course of the show. Y'all bring questions tonight? You guys got questions to ask Greg and the GM? Because we're going to do a Q&A here in just a little bit with Cosell, and we'll welcome Rand Carthon to the stage in a little bit as well. We're very excited to have the Titans GM as a part of the proceedings tonight. I'm hoping that he is not actively telling people that I am the thing that's keeping him from vacation because he might as well have taken a hit out on me. And I don't appreciate it. So, Rand, if you're in the house already, we may have some words when you get up here at a certain point. The defense that they are going to have here under Dennard Wilson, I don't know if it's going to look exactly like the Baltimore Ravens, Greg, and we don't know how these guys are going to get deployed until we get out here, but that kind of style of play is what they're bringing to Tennessee.
It's funny, he was in Philly 2 years ago, and I know there were a lot of people in Philly that thought he should have been named the D coordinator, and obviously they named Sean Desai, and he was gone in midseason last year, and then because he didn't get that job, he didn't want to stay in Philly, so he moved to Baltimore, and he did an unbelievable job with that secondary because they had a ton of injuries with their good players, and they had to play a lot of players who were not their starters. And I was really excited for him to get a D coordinator job. I was really fortunate a number of years ago. It was actually when Greg Williams was the D coordinator for the Jets, and Adam Gase was their head coach. And I knew Adam Gase pretty well, and he invited me to training camp, and he said, hey, you can sit in on any meeting you want. And I sat in on Dennard Wilson's defensive back meeting. And
Get you fired up a little bit?
Oh, yeah, it was eye-opening. It was awesome. And, you know, he's just the kind of guy, I think, that gets you fired up. I mean, he's that kind of guy. And, you know, I'm really excited to see what he can do.
That's your new coaching staff.
You know, I've been fortunate in my career. I've had a chance to sit in on a lot of those kinds of meetings. And, you know, different coaches have different ways of doing it. Some coaches are very academic, and some coaches are a combination of academic and fiery. Some guys are more fiery. I thought Dennard Wilson was a good combination of being academic, but yet getting guys fired up. And I'm really curious to see how this defense looks because there are some good players on this defense, particularly with the free agent signings that we spoke about. But there's some other really good players here as well and some good draft choices, I think, which we will get to.
We are absolutely going to get to the draft class here in a little bit. We're going to take the first. Anybody got a Pred score for me, by the way? What's it? 0-0? 0-0. What period we in? Second period. All right. I'm gonna count on y'all to keep me updated because obviously Pred's trying to win Game 6 tonight, push a Game 7. I know y'all are fired up about that as well, which is why we particularly appreciate you hanging out here with us. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we're going to have Rand Carthon on the stage with us. We're also going to have a very special guest from a guy that's very near and dear to me that I know you guys are going to enjoy hearing a story about his fight and the impact that LLS, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, has had on him. We're so appreciative, by the way, of the people at Two Rivers Ford who made this great podcast possible again. A round of applause for Two Rivers Ford. The best in the business, absolutely.
Can I just say something?
You sure can.
I just want to say
You can tell me to shut up, by the way.
No. Well, we'll get there. I just want to say that I'm so appreciative of everybody showing up. I know it's a full house. I'm really, really happy that you guys showed up to hear my BS for a couple hours. And, you know, I love seeing all the fans. I remember last year when we had, you know, a few less people, but it was awesome. And I remember the questions being phenomenal and the interaction being great. And we'll get to that tonight for sure. But, you know, I never take any of this for granted. I love this. It's so great to see everybody tonight, and I'm really glad you guys are out here.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Titans GM Rand Carthon, get a drink at the bar, and we'll be back with you here in just a sec.